Good morning, everyone. Kale Palace here, and today I have the special guest, Bekah Bankson, who's the strategic account manager for Teva across the state. And we're going to talk about post-spraying and beans. I know a lot of you have either are started or getting started, so we kind of wanted to cover just a few things that we've had some questions over. And first things first, kind of what are some of the main things we want to make sure that we can have success this year?
Yes, Gail. Well, when you look at making bean applications be successful this year, the number one thing is all about overlapping residuals. Regardless of what technology systems you've got out there, we want to make sure we're handing that baton of control off to that next residual application that's appropriate as a tank mix partner for whatever technologies you're using.
Awesome. Well, obviously it's dry. It's been dry. We need to worry about with the heat and just the dry soil conditions that we're spraying into.
Absolutely. When it comes to this dry weather right now, I loved your video about activating residual herbicides. So with some great visuals there. So keep that up. Make sure that your whatever residual chemistries you're using, you're activating appropriately. Some need more moisture, some need less moisture. So make sure to be doing that. But when it comes to actually making herbicide applications in really hot weather, we've got to balance the getting good weed control and also having crop response out there. We want to limit as much as possible extra oil-based adjuvants in there. So mini herbicides or EC formulations or other oil-based formulations. We want to, if we're adding a bunch of those into the tank, we want to be aware that we could likely see some crop response out there. We've got to balance between getting a lot of things done and in the tank at once and needing to separate them out to alleviate too much load and too much stress on the beans at once. Know that we're going to see some crop response no matter what chemistries we're using. So speckling out there is going to be very common.
The volunteer corn is coming in. What do we need to know to make sure we have a good kill on the volunteer corn?
You know, we all know that last year and the year before that we've struggled with some volunteer corn control. When it comes to being successful in volunteer corn kill, a couple of the things we need to know about is first corn stage, right? We do not want to be going after volunteer corn when it is just emerging out of the ground. It's really difficult to control volunteer corn there. And ideally a volunteer corn application should take place once we get that growing point closer to being out of the ground, but before we get that volunteer corn to be 2 or 3 feet tall out there. Another big thing comes when we're using technology herbicides. Whether you're using the Enlist system, an Extend system, we want to make sure we're pairing the right active ingredient from a corn killer with it, because that makes a huge difference. When we're talking about the Enlist system here, we want to make sure that we're using a DIM-based corn killer. So products like clethodim as the active ingredient is ones we're looking for. In the Extend system, it's actually the opposite. We want to make sure that we're using a FOB-based corn killer. So the last 3 letters of the being FOB as some of our options out there. A couple other things when it comes to volunteer corn control with these technology herbicides is making sure we use crop oil. There's going to be some antagonism from your technology use herbicides, and so we want to use crop oil to help make that product work a little bit better. We also want to up that rate that we generally say about a 30% higher rate, and we also want to make sure we're getting good coverage from a gallonage, using at least 15 gallons of water per acre out there.
You know, when we're thinking about mixing our tanks, is there any tank mix considerations we need to take into consideration?
Absolutely. When you're using any technology herbicide, you need to make sure you're using approved tank mix partners, and that can be found on whatever herbicide brand you're using website to make sure. One of the nice things we talk about in List is that tank mix flexibility. That tank mix flexibility allows you to use many different glyphosate brands as well as Liberty and other glyphosate brands, tons of different residuals, adjuvants, micronutrients, and other things that we're putting in that pass. That's one of the things we talk about in List is great tank mix flexibility so that you and your agronomist can make the best decision for your acres, what's going on, and what needs to be controlled.
Finally, is there any other considerations we rebound, maybe some nozzles, anything else?
Yes, so when we're spraying technology herbicides, we want to make sure we're using the best nozzle for that system. When we're talking about Enlist, we have an approved list of nozzles, and we have a recommended, our top 3. And so sticking to those top 3 on the Enlist system will provide the best balance of coverage and still staying on the label. On the Extend system as well, they have a whole list of approved nozzles, and you want to be able to stick with those approved nozzles to get the best performance and minimize potentials for off-target movement. And the same thing with other herbicides that exist that aren't a part of that, making sure that you're using the best coverage nozzles that are allowable for the herbicides you're using out there. Another big thing I think about when I look at this year is where we're at right now at the beginning of June. We've got a long way to go to canopy for some of these beans. Planting conditions have varied throughout the state, and we need to be looking and planning for 2-pass applications on our beans, regardless of what herbicides you're using today. Is planning on 2 passes. We've got beans that are kind of small, and we've got a long way to go. Doesn't mean we always have to do those two post passes, but we want to make sure we're having that conversation with your agronomist, and let's put those plans in place. And if these beans really get up and go and conditions are really favorable, great. We don't need to use that last application, but make sure we've got a plan in place to accomplish that if we do need to have that.
Well, Becca, thank you very much for helping us out. It's nice to have a expert in their field versus me sometimes. So again, if you have any questions